David's prayer of thanks. Then King David went in and sat before the Lord and said, O Lord, my Lord, who am I? And what is my house, that you have loved me even until now, O Lord, my Lord? This is very insignificant before you, yet you spoke on behalf of the house of your servant, even this. For the distant future. O Lord, my Lord, is this the law of man? What more can David say to you? O Lord, my Lord, you know your servant. You do according to your word, and you do according to your heart all this greatness, to make it known to your servant, to magnify you. O Lord, my Lord, according to all we hear with our ears, there is no one like you, and there is no God but you. What other nation on the earth is as your people Israel? As God guided them in order to redeem them, to establish them as a people, to make for yourself a name, to do greatness, and to make manifest to those you cast out from the midst of your people, whom you redeemed out of the nation of Egypt and their tents. For you prepared for yourself your people Israel, to be a people forever. You, O Lord, have become our God. And now, O Lord, my Lord, the word which you now speak concerning your servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, O Lord Almighty, God of Israel, just as you said. So let your name be magnified forever. O Lord Almighty, you have disclosed this to the ears of your servant, saying, I will build you a house. Therefore your servant has found it in his heart to pray this prayer to you. And now, O Lord, my Lord, you are God, and your words shall be true, and you speak these good things on behalf of your servant. Now may you rule and bless the house of your servant, that it may continue before you forever. For you are the Lord my Lord, you spoke, and with your blessing, let the house of your servant be blessed forever. David's victories in battle. After this, David attacked the Philistines and put them to flight. And David took the border country from the hand of the Philistines. Then David defeated Moab, and after forcing them down to the ground, he measured them off with lines. With 2 lines he measured off those to be put to death, and with 2 lines those to be kept alive. So the Moabites became David's servants and brought tribute. David also defeated Hadadezer the son of Rehob, king of Zebah, as he went to extend his power to the river Euphrates. David took from him 1,000 chariots, 7,000 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers. Also David hamstrung all the chariot horses, except that he spared enough of them for 100 chariots. When the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer king of Zebah, David killed 22,000 men in Syria. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became David's servants and brought tribute. The Lord saved David wherever he went. And David took the shields of gold that had belonged to the servants of Hadadezer, king of Zebah, and brought them to Jerusalem. Suakim, king of Egypt, took them when he went up to Jerusalem in the days of Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. Also from the Mazbach, from the choice cities of Hadadezer, King David took a large amount of bronze with which Solomon made the bronze sea and the pillars and the basins and all the implements. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated all the army of Hadadezer, Toi sent his son Joram to King David, to greet him in peace and bless him because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him. For he had been at war with Hadadezer, and in his hands he brought with him articles of silver, articles of gold, and articles of bronze. King David consecrated these to the Lord along with the silver and gold that he had consecrated from all the cities he had subdued, from Idumea, from Moab, from the sons of Ammon, from the Philistines, from Amalek, and from the spoil of Hadadezer the son of Rehob, king of Zebah. And David made himself a name when he returned from killing 18,000 Edomians in Gamel. He also put garrisons in Idumea, throughout all Idumea, and all the Edomians became the king's servants. And the Lord preserved David wherever he went. So David reigned over Israel, and David administered judgment and justice to all his people. Job the son of Zeruiah was over the army, Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder, Zadok the son of Ahitub and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar were the priests, Asa was the scribe, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was an advisor, as were the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief ministers. David's mercy on Mephibosheth. Now David said, Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul, so that I may show him mercy for Jonathan's sake? And there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, Are you Ziba? And he said, I am your servant. Then the king said, Is there not still someone left of the house of Saul, to whom I may show the mercy of God? And Ziba said to the king, There is still a son of Jonathan who is wounded in his feet. So the king said to him, Where is he? And Ziba said to the king, See, he is in the house of Machir the son of Ammiel, in Lo-debar. Then King David sent and brought him out of the house of Machir the son of Ammiel from Lo-debar. When Mephibosheth the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, had come to King David, he fell on his face and prostrated before him. Then David said, Mephibosheth. And he answered, Here is your servant. So David said to him, Do not fear, for I will surely show you mercy. For the sake of Jonathan your father, I will restore to you all the land of Saul your grandfather, and you shall always eat bread at my table. Then Mephibosheth bowed and said, Who am I, your servant, that you should look upon a dead dog like me? And the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, I have given your master's son everything that belonged to Saul and to all his house. You therefore, and your sons and your servants, shall work the land for him, and you shall bring in bread for your master's son. And he will eat it. But Mephibosheth your master's son shall always eat bread at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, Your servant will do everything my lord the king commanded his servant. And Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Michah. And all who dwelt in the house of Ziba were servants of Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he always ate at the king's table. And he was lame in both his feet. Notes from the previous page. 7:18-29 Having received divine intervention, David speaks of God's love towards his house and his family, and is humbled by it. The house to be established forever will not be one established by human hands, the earthly temple, but the one established through David's seed. This is a prophecy of Christ, the Messiah of Israel. 8:1-2 Having consolidated his power, David now exercises the strength against both the Philistines and Moab, the latter becoming a vassal state. It was not uncommon for a portion of a conquered people to be executed, as David does with Moab, so as to exert his strength. 8:3-12 David expands his territory to the Euphrates, subjugating Hadadezer and ultimately drawing Syria into the fight. A garrison is stationed near Damascus, possibly to guarantee trading rights, so another state is secured. Toi, king of Hamath, an enemy of Hadadezer, seeks to secure his favor with David by gifts of metal vessels. 8:13-17 David made himself a name expanding his presence and his territory. This expansion is blessed and ordained by God, and David reigns over all Israel. Job serves as commander of the armies and Jehoshaphat as the official recorder, the highest civil office. Zadok, first mentioned here, becomes head of the legitimate line of priests. The text should probably read Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, c. 1 kg 2220. 9:1-13 This chapter reflects the abiding love that David had for Jonathan. Mephibosheth is his sole survivor, but lame in both feet. He is brought to David's court, cared for by Ziba, Saul's servant, and fed at David's table, as though he were one of David's sons. David, a type of Christ, extends grace to one disabled, and invites him to dine, a picture of God's love extended to those crippled by sin, restoring them in the Eucharist. Defeat of the Ammonites and Syrians. It happened after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his place. Then David said, I will show mercy to Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed mercy to me. So David sent by the hand of his servants to comfort him concerning his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the sons of Ammon said to Hanun their lord, Do you think David really honors your father because he sent comforters to you? Did David not rather send his servants to you to search the city, to spy it out, and to survey it? Therefore Hanun took David's servants, shaved off their beards, cut off their garments at the middle of their haunches, and sent them away. When they told David about the men, of how they were greatly dishonored, he sent to meet them. And the king said, Wait at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then return. The people of Ammon saw that the people of David were put to shame, so the people of Ammon sent and hired from the Syrians of Beth-rehob 20,000 foot soldiers, and from the king of Maacah 1,000 men, and from Ishtob 12,000 men. Now, when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the army of the mighty men. Then the sons of Ammon came out and put themselves in battle array at the entrance of the gate. And the Syrians of Zebah, Beth-rehob, Ishtob, and Maacah were by themselves in the field. When Joab saw that the battle line was against him before and behind, he chose some of Israel's young men and put them in battle array against the Syrians. And he put the rest of the people under the command of Abishai his brother, and they were placed in battle array against the sons of Ammon. Then he said, If the Syrians are too strong for me, then you shall deliver me, but if the sons of Ammon are too strong for you, then we will come and deliver you. Be of good courage and let us be strong for our people and for the cities of our God, for the Lord will do what is good in his sight. So Joab and the people with him went into battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. When the sons of Ammon saw that the Syrians fled, they also fled before Abishai and entered the city. And Joab returned from the sons of Ammon and went to Jerusalem. When the Syrians saw that they were defeated by Israel, they gathered together. Then Hadadezer sent and gathered the Syrians beyond the river Kalamach, and they came to Helam. And Shobach the commander of Hadadezer's army went before them. When it was reported to David, he gathered all Israel, crossed the Jordan, and came to Helam. Here the Syrians set themselves in battle array against David and fought with him. And Syria fled from before Israel, and David killed 700 charioteers and 40,000 horsemen of the Syrians. David also struck Shobach, the commander of their army, who died there. And when all the kings who were servants to Hadadezer saw they were defeated by Israel, they changed allegiance and served Israel. Syria was afraid to help rescue the people of Ammon, David and Bathsheba. Then at the appointed time when kings go out to battle, David sent Joab and his guards, and all Israel with him. They destroyed the sons of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem. Then one evening David arose from his bed and went up on the roof of the king's house. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing, and she was very beautiful in appearance. So David sent and asked about the woman. And someone said, "Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" David sent messengers and took her. And she came to him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness. And she returned to her house. And the woman conceived, so she sent and told David and said, "I am with child." Then David sent to Joab, saying, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah had come to him, David asked how Joab was doing, and how the people were doing, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah departed from the king's house, and a gift from the king followed him. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. So when they told David, saying, "Uriah did not go down to his house," David said to Uriah, "Didn't you come from a journey? Why didn't you go down to your house?" And Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Judah are dwelling in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I go to my house to eat and drink and lie with my wife? How should I do this? As your soul lives, I will not do this." Then David said to Uriah, "Wait here today, and tomorrow I will send you away." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. The next day, David invited him, and he ate and drank with him, and he got him drunk. In the evening, he left to sleep on his bed with the servants of his lord, but he did not go down to his house. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, "Set Uriah in the forefront of the fiercest battle and retreat from him, so that he may be struck down and die." So when Joab besieged the city, he assigned Uriah to a place where he knew there were valiant men. Then the men of the city came out and fought with Joab. And some of the people of the servants of David fell, and Uriah the Hittite died as well. Then Joab sent and told David everything concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, "When you have finished telling the king the matters of the war, if the king's wrath rises and he says to you, 'Why did you approach so near to the city when you fought? Did you not know that they would shoot from the wall?' 21 Who struck Abimelech the son of Jerubbesheth? Was it not a woman who cast a piece of a millstone on him from the wall, so that he died in Thebes? Why did you go near the wall? Then you shall say, Your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead as well. So Job's messenger went to the king in Jerusalem and came and told David everything. Job had told him all the news of the battle. Now David was angry with Job and said to the messenger, Why did you go near to the city to fight? Did you not know that you would be wounded from the wall? Who struck Abimelech the son of Jerubbaal? Was it not a woman who cast a piece of millstone on him from the wall, so that he died in Tamsi? Why did you go near the wall? And the messenger said to David, Because the men prevailed against us and came out to us in the field. Then we drove them back as far as the entrance of the gate. The archers shot from the wall at your servants, and some of the king's servants are dead. And your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said to the messenger, Thus you shall say to Job, Do not let this thing seem evil in your eyes, for the sword sometimes devours in this way and sometimes in that. Strengthen your attack against the city and overthrow it. So strengthen the war. When the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when her mourning was over, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But what David did was evil in the Lord's eyes. David's confession to Nathan. And the Lord sent Nathan the prophet to David. And he came to him and said to him, There were 2 men in one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had very many flocks and herds. But the poor man had nothing but one little lamb he had bought and nourished and reared, and it grew up together with him and with his sons. It ate of his own food and drank from his own cup and lay in his bosom, and it was like a daughter to him. And a traveler came to the rich man, who refused to take from his own flock and from his own herd to prepare for the foreign traveler who had come to him, but he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who had come to him. So David's anger was greatly aroused against the man, and David said to Nathan, As the Lord lives, the man who did this shall surely die. And he shall restore fourfold for the lamb. Because he did this and because he had no pity. Then Nathan said to David, You are the man who did this. Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I am the one who anointed you king over Israel, and I am the one who delivered you from the hand of Saul. I have given you your master's house and your master's wives into your arms, and have given you the house of Israel and Judah. And if that had been too little, I also would have given you much more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord and do evil in his sight? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword, you took his wife to be your wife, and you killed him with the sword of the sons of Ammon. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from your house forever, because you scorned me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, Behold, I will raise up adversity against you from your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sunlight. For you did it secretly. But I will do this before all Israel in the sunlight. So David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, The Lord also has put away your sin. You shall not die. However, because by this deed you have greatly provoked the enemies of the Lord, your son who is born to you shall surely die. Then Nathan departed to his house. Notes from the previous page. 10:1-5 The Ammonite king Nahash dies. Since Saul had defeated the Ammonites at Jabesh Gilead, c. 1 kg 11:1, 11, it was wise that David send his emissaries to his son Hanun, son of Nahash. 10:6-8 The Ammonites hire men from 4 Syrian principalities, the 2 mentioned previously in 8:3, 7 as well as from Amalek and Istub, into a confederation against David. 10:9-14 Job's successful strategy is to divide his forces into 2 and attack with both simultaneously. 10:15-19 The resulting victory for David leaves the Syrians afraid to help the Ammonites in the future. 11:1 This prologue sets the stage for the story of David's adultery with Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. The king should be leading the armies and commanders into battle, but David has stayed behind. 11:2-5 The roofs of the houses were typically flat and allowed a cool place to relax in the evening. David spies Bathsheba bathing atop her house and is smitten by her beauty. He has her brought to him for the express purpose of adultery. Bathsheba conceives and sends David word of her pregnancy. 11:6-13 David calls for Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, to be brought home from battle so that he will have intercourse with his wife, hoping to cover his own sin in this fashion. Uriah, however, refuses to have intercourse with Bathsheba, as soldiers in battle were prohibited from doing so, CLV 15:18, 1 kg 21:5, to wash one's feet is a comprehensive euphemism, but intercourse is implied. 11:14-21 His first plan having failed, David arranges for Uriah to be sent forth to the front lines for battle and then to retreat from behind him, virtually ensuring his death. David's second plan to conceal his adultery has succeeded through Uriah's murder on the battlefield. The death of David's son. And the Lord made feeble the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and it became ill. David therefore sought after God for the child, and he fasted and went in and lay on the ground in sackcloth. So the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the ground. But he did not want to do so, nor did he eat food with them. Then on the 7th day the child died. And David's servants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, because they said, "Indeed, while the child was alive we spoke to him, and he would not heed our voice. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He may do some harm." When David became aware his servants were whispering, he perceived the child was dead. Therefore David said to his servants, "Is the child dead?" And they said, "He is dead." So David arose from the ground, washed and anointed himself, and changed his clothes. And he went into the house of God and worshipped him. Then he went to his own house. And when he requested food to eat, they set food before him and he ate. Then his servants said to him, "What have you done? You fasted and wept and lay awake for the child while he was alive, but when the child died you arose and ate food and drank." And he said, "While the child was alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, who can tell whether the Lord will be merciful to me, so that the child may live? But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me."